Now, upon clicking this video, you may be surprised to see that I'm not actually some fat blue-haired feminist attempting to convince you that exercise is somehow fat-phobic or racist or something. And before I actually start explaining my point, I'd like to preface that I'm an athlete, right? I weightlift, I go for runs just for the fun of it, I enjoy every kind of movement, and I am obviously not saying exercise is bad or something, or like movement is bad. You know, obviously there's mountains and mountains of evidence to prove how good exercise is for a decrease in all-cause mortality and overall general wellness. With that in mind, I want to explain to you why I'm against exercise. And I put that in quotes, and I'll tell you why. So when people think of exercise, they don't think of like a fun form of movement. When people think of exercise or like a workout day, right? I think the majority of people, and the reason why I think, actually no, I'll explain that later. So I think the majority of people view that as like running laps around a track or sprinting on a treadmill or doing something really grueling and monotonous that is very hard to sustain. And the reason I think that is because I've seen online like people, it's a very huge market on YouTube, for example, for like consistency and motivation. Like if people need external motivation to keep up some kind of workout or exercise regimen, then it's not inherently sustainable. It's not fun, it's not enjoyable. I'm not saying everything has to be fun, but if you can make something that's really good for you also fun and make it just independently sustainable, obviously that's the best case scenario. And when people think of exercise, I don't think they think of something that's fun and something they look forward to, something that's independently sustainable. And this idea that to get movement and to get like blood flow going and to get like a stronger cardiovascular system, you have to do exercise. I think that's kind of flawed, and I'll tell you why. So I see two different kinds of movements, right? I see a fun kind of movement where people will look forward to doing it, and then I see this kind of grueling, monotonous hamster wheel, treadmill kind of movement, all right? I'll give you some examples. So say some friends or family ask like, hey, do you want to go swimming at the lake this weekend? Anyone who's ever gone swimming obviously knows, yeah, sure, it's physically intensive. You know, it's not like, you know, to swim for, I don't know, even like a few minutes in a row or something, it's not a walk in the park, right? It's somewhat physically intensive. It's tiring, right? But when people hear, hey, you want to go swimming at the lake this weekend, they don't think, oh man, that's going to be so grueling and monotonous, that's exercise. They think, hey, that's going to be really fun. I'd really like to do that. Or think about if your friends were to ask you, like, hey, you want to go to the high school this weekend and play some 2-on-2 tennis or something like that. You don't think, oh, but that's going to be tiring. That's going to be, I'm going to be sweating. It's going to be hot. No, you think, hey, that'd actually be really fun, right? And if you, let's say, you know, I don't think that calories is all there is to nutrition and exercise, but let's imagine this. Let's just say it was, just for simplicity, right? You burn 500 calories running around a track versus burning 500 calories playing tennis with your friends. One of them is really fun, and it's something you look forward to, and it's the same amount of calories burnt. The other one, you have to watch some David Goggins motivational video before you do it every time, and every fiber in your body screaming at you to not do it, and it's just like a horrible thing to think about, you know, days before you're going to do it. You know, if you're getting the same kind of cardiovascular stimuli from both of these, but one's a lot more fun, you look forward to it, and there's an added social aspect to it, any logical person would not be able to look me in the eye and tell me that obviously that one is way better than the first one, right? That kind of hamster wheel movement. And I think people need to reframe the way they think about movement and, you know, movement for health and stuff like that. I don't think that moving for health and that movement should come in the form of some kind of monotonous hamster wheel exercise, you know? And that's why I put that in quotes, right? And obviously, I'm not saying that's like a bad thing necessarily. The title was kind of clickbaity, I acknowledge that. It's like obviously somebody, like the version of yourself that doesn't exercise and the version of yourself that does exercise, the version of yourself that exercises is going to be an overall better person. If you were to change nothing about yourself in a parallel universe, it's just that you run around in a track a few times a week, sure, that person's going to be a little better. Alright, I will admit that. But if you take that person who runs on a track and put that person up against the person who goes swimming at the lake, or takes their dog for a run, takes their dog for a walk, or plays tennis with their friends, right? That other person, they're going to be doing that a lot more sustainably, they're going to get the same cardiovascular stimuli, and it's going to be fun and sustainable, right? And I think, and you know, that's a big part for people. You know, I don't subscribe to the whole idea of like willpower and all that, because if that worked so well, you wouldn't see so many people messing up on diets and like not being able to stick to exercise regimens. I think it's a cold hard, not even a cold or hard fact or anything. It's just an objective fact that people have to face, that like it's better to have an exercise regimen that you look forward to and is fun and that you want to sustain than one that requires willpower to sustain. It's kind of like the idea of like if there's two people racing, if one person is fighting through pain and the other person loves the pain, so to say, the person who loves it is probably going to do better. You know what I mean? But that's kind of my thoughts on that. And like when I exercise, it's not for like just some hamster wheel movement. If you want to go run, I'd say the last place you should do it is like a track or a treadmill or something. Unless you're like training for like let's say like track and field or something. Maybe it'd be good to consistently run on that surface that's completely level, that's perfect for running and all that. Sure, that makes sense. But if you're just like some normal run-of-the-mill person who just here's exercise and they do it just because they want to be healthy, I'd advise, running on trails, running around places that you find to be beautiful or something like that. Or, going swimming or going to play, some kind of sport with your friends, right? Like a soccer match, a tennis match, anything like that. Because I think any kind of movement is better than this kind of hamster wheel movement. And I suppose that's all I've got. I'm almost just kind of repeating myself here, but that's my opinion on that. That's why I'm kind of against exercise. Alright? Yeah, that's what I got.